Hey, hey,
Hey, everyone.
welcome.
Welcome,
Welcome, everyone
welcome.
that's
We'll
not here
wait for a
yet.
few people to get on.
That's right. We'll vamp for 20, 30 seconds and let people log in and catch up.
Yep. So, how have you been doing, Jason?
I've been doing really well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, very
You might
cool.
have noticed I'm no longer in a kitchen. I have a
Yeah,
new
tell me about
space.
that. What's up with that?
I moved.
That's awesome.
Got myself a nice place, a bigger house, a house to start with.
More room for the
Yeah,
fam.
so I've got myself a nice little workspace now.
Aw, this is so cool.
Which should benefit this in particular greatly, I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Um, so let's do it. It's been a while since
Yeah,
we've been on and shared some audio knowledge with the internet.
right.
I'm excited to be back.
Yeah. Well, welcome to QSC Tech Talk, everyone. I'm
Hey,
Golden
hey.
Preciado, audio engineer and House of Worship specialist with QSC. And I'm here along with Jason Fernandez, live sound training specialist with QSC. And today we'll be going over the process of capturing a multi-track or stereo recording directly onto a hard drive
A
using
Hydra.
your TouchMix.
That's right.
Yep.
Talking about recording. We're
This
talking
is
about
a fun.
recording onto a hard drive, as you just said. I don't know why I just repeated what you said.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the thing is so cool about this is I use this for every performance at
yeah.
Campus Jacks where I work because we do a ton of post production after the fact.
hmm
So this process of hard drive recording has just made our lives so easy, and I'm
It's
really
awesome.
excited to tell everybody about it. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to what you're going to show us, Jason.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, basically going to kind of just walk through the process and the steps of getting a recording going and how to get your hard drive set up to do so. And hopefully you'll be able to kind of see by the end of my little demonstration I put together just how easy it is to capture really nice broadcast quality recordings right on the TouchMix using a hard drive.
Right.
And I do have a hard drive here that I'm going to use to record onto. I figured we'd start out by kind of explaining or giving everybody the hard drive requirements, because you can't just use any hard drive to capture recordings with TouchMix. It has to be able to keep up with the recording speed, more or less.
Yeah. So all hard drives are not created equal.
No, unfortunately they're not. And you're going to want to pay attention when you are choosing a hard drive for TouchMix for this application. You're going to want to pay attention to the specifications, specifically the read and write speed, and the USB connection. And we actually recommend using, first of all, right out of the gate, I'm going to just say that, we don't recommend using a hard drive if you're going to do some pretty heavy duty recording. If you're going to record multiple channels at once for extended periods of time, get yourself an actual hard drive. Don't rely on something like this. These can be very unstable. However, if you're recording one or two channels, or if you're just using the stereo record feature, for some shorter recordings, you can probably get away with this. But I would recommend just going out and just getting yourself a nice, hardy, stable, fast hard drive. And we do recommend a solid state drive versus a spinning hard drive, an SDD versus HDD. And the reason for that is solid state drives just have much higher read and write speeds than standard hard drives.
Yep, I agree with that. That's what we use for all our recordings.
Yeah.
I've noticed the spinning disk drives every once in a while, they just couldn't keep up and the recording stopped.
They can't keep up. I mean, it's
Yeah.
also a mechanical device. You're prone to mechanical failures and things like that. And spinning hard drives just don't last as long in the long term. So if you're using them for a long period of time, or if you want to store information on there for a long period of time, that can get risky.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, right now, solid state hard drives are a bit pricier than regular hard drives, but
worth the investment.
Very worth the investment. Samsung in particular makes a drive called the T5, and I think they just released a T7 recently. Those are really, really good for what you get. They're not the cheapest drive, but they're pretty decently priced for the amount of space that you get.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So outside of all that, if you want to, if you're like me and you just like to go and dive into the specs and you're a little bit of a nerd, what you're going to want to look for is a drive that has a read and write speed that is over 130 megabytes per second. So that's a specific number you're trying to get above there. And you want to make sure that it has a USB 3.0 connection. Now, the connection on the TouchMix, kind of somebody's going to say it, is a USB 2.0 input connection. However, the 3.0 connection on the hard drive is essential to be able to get the information onto the drive as fast as necessary to capture your recordings in real time. So make sure you got those two things: USB 3.0, read and write speed of over 130 megabytes per second. And then the third thing is you're going to need to format it very specifically to FAT32. And this is different than exFAT. We also get that question a lot. It is a format called FAT32. And that is the specific file format that you're going to need to have the drive set up for in order for it to be recognized by the mixer. If you are doing this all on a Mac, the disk utility that you get standard on your Mac will be able to format a drive to this format type. If you're using a PC, you're probably going to need to download a third-party utility to kind of get that going, to get the FAT32 process happening. A Windows operating system doesn't natively have the ability to format a drive to FAT32, but you can do a web search and you can just type FAT32 format utility and you'll get a million that pop up. Most of them are free. They're super easy to use and set up, and they can get you going. Option number 3, which is my favorite option, is you just format the drive right from the mixer. The mixer can just do it for you. You don't have to worry about it.
Right.
And I'm going to actually show you that to you right now. One caveat to that, however, is some drives, when they're brand new, the first time you buy it, the first time you use it, you actually have to set it up. It'll have a native format utility that needs to kind of set itself up with. If that's the case, then you'll need to run that process on a computer first before you plug it into the mixer and try to format it this way. And I actually believe that Samsung drives are one of those drives, the T5 and T7. I think when they're brand new in the box, just plug them into a computer first. It doesn't matter, Mac or PC, and then it'll automatically pop up. Hey, you have a new drive connected. You want to run this installation software that it has. Just run through its own process to kind of get it started, and it'll format whatever. I think it usually formats it to. I can't remember it. It'll format it to something, and then just take it out, put it in your TouchMix, and
reformat it.
Reformat it as I'm about to show you. So let's do it. Let's dive right in. I'm going to switch my camera here because I can switch cameras because I am, again, a nerd. Here we go. Here's my TouchMix 16. This is the same mixer that I'm using for the broadcast right now. So I'm I'm getting multiple uses out of this at once for this demonstration. For now, I'm just going to use this little thumb drive just to demonstrate the formatting process because I am not in a position right now to format my main recording hard drive. And so I'll show you the how to format it on this just to get that part of the demonstration out of the way. Then I'm actually going to do a little bit of a recording demo on my recording drive. So here we go. I'm going to plug this in. We got that plugged in. Now I'm going to want to navigate to the recording screen, and I'm going to do that by pressing the record play button here. There we are. And now I'm on the recording transport screen. You can tell we've got our transport controls down here. We've got the timeline, and we've got the record, stop, play, and navigation controls there. We also have a timer and a couple of other pieces of information here. Up above that, we have our channel faders, but there are some additional buttons that have been added to each of those. They are the same channels. These are the same exact channels with the same exact faders that you do see on your main mix. They are just kind of condensed to fit onto this screen with a few extra controls on them. In particular, we have the arm and track controls, which are essential for the recording process. So let's format this drive, and then we'll talk about this a little bit more. So I'm going to need to access the recording setup, which is found in this button right here next to the transport timeline. That takes us into our recording setup screen. I can do a couple things on this screen. I can set up a new recording session. That is probably the main purpose of this screen. I can choose my kind of recording pickoff point down here, and then right over here in that corner, you can see that button there that says Format USB Drive. That's what we're going to do first. So now that my drive is connected, I'm just going to make sure we've got a strong connection there. I'm going to press this button, and it's going to give me this prompt, and it's going to say kind of a little warning. It's like, this process is going to permanently delete any information on your drive. So anytime, doesn't matter if you're doing it on the mixer or on your computer, when you reformat a hard drive, it has to erase the drive in order to perform that reformat process. So be aware.
You better not have anything too important on there.
Don't have anything important, or don't have anything you need to keep or you need later. If there is anything on the drive, save it somewhere else before you do this. I'm okay to erase this drive, so I'm going to hit format, and it's going to say, okay, we've got it going. And there we go.
While that's reformatting, because that will take a second, I have found that it's pretty important to make new sessions if you want to be able to find files. Otherwise, it just titles everything region dash whatever number region that was. And Absolutely. I have found that every time we do, for example, a new event on the same drive, we'll title it by year, month, and day, and then who it was. And it's made it a lot easier to find files.
That is a very common folder saving scheme where you add the date numerically in the name of it. That way, all of it's automatically organized in chronological order. All of your recordings. That's an excellent way to do it. So we're done here. We can see that our format was successful. We got the prompt that popped up a little while ago, and we also have a default recording session. And that's how we know that our drive is now formatted and ready to go. And as Golden was saying, the sessions are just an excellent organizational tool. Just anytime you start a new recording, you're recording a new event, or you're recording a new band or a new project, or even trying to organize between different songs. And you can create a recording session for whatever you want, however you want to organize your recordings. But that is an excellent tool for that. So our drive is formatted. I'm not going to swap it out. Actually, I'm not going to use this drive because I want to use my good drive. I'm going to plug this guy in, and we'll see.
See, he had important stuff on this drive that he could demonstrate reformatting on.
That's absolutely right. And we'll give it a second. And once it shows me all of my important stuff, see, there we are. Got a bunch of other recordings on here that I don't want to lose. Cool. So now let's just do a quick little recording demonstration. I don't have a band with me, but I do have a djembe. So I'm going to treat you guys to some sweet djembe playing. So first thing I'm going to do now, I got my format happening. I'm going to go back into my recording setup screen, and I'm going to create myself a new session for my demo. I'm going to title it Sweet
Demo.
It's going to be super sweet. All right. Now I've confirmed it with my prompts, and now you can see I've got my new session created there. I hit the record play button one more time to get back to my recording screen. Now, here is where these buttons come in handy. In order to record any of your channels, they have to be armed to record. And you do that simply by pressing the arm button. So now, this microphone that I've got set up here, and that I'm going to record my djembe with, is now armed to record. And you're going to do this for any and all channels you are recording at a time. So if you've got a full ensemble, a full band, you record all of your channels that are coming into the mixer if you want to record all of them as a multi-track recording. So this is what we're doing here, is multi-track. You can record every single channel on TouchMix individually onto a hard drive, which is a pretty cool feature. In addition to that, which I will show you next, you also have the option to simply get a stereo recording. Maybe you don't want to just record everything individually. You just want a nice stereo recording of everything that's happening. You have that option as well. And we'll check that out in a second. First, I'm going to hit this drum for a few seconds here, and it's going to go like this. So I've armed my channel to record. All I got to do now is hit the record button. That button lights up red, and now we are recording. We can see the timeline is going. So I am actively recording this microphone. Yay!
That was Super Jason on the djembe.
Hey, just a quick demo. Cool. So that's it. So I got a recording. It's that easy. If we want to play that back, I'm going to unarm my channel now. And above that, we have all these additional buttons labeled track. If I set a recorded channel to track, whoops, not mute, to track, now I am able to play back my recording and listen to what was recorded on that channel back through the same channel. I'm going to want to reset my timeline back to the beginning of my recording to do so. So I'll get that going. So here we go. I've got that set to track, and I'm just going to hit the play button.
The
and we should
record
be able
button.
to hear what I recorded on that
That
channel.
button lights up red, and now we are recording. We can see the
There's me
timeline
talking.
is going. So I am actively recording this microphone.
Okay. Hey, there we go. There was my
Nice.
djembe playing, recorded very nicely, and that's it. It's that simple. So I within a few minutes here, got a drive set up, created a session, and recorded a few seconds of a drum. And the process is exactly the same no matter how many instruments you're tracking or no matter kind of what your application is. You just go in, you arm your channels, you set up your session, and you go. If you want to hear anything back, you unarm it, you set it to track, you play it back. And you can even, if you wanted to, let's say, if we're doing more of like a recording session application, I can start to lay channels over it, or I can perform overdubs.
Overdubs.
And things like that. Yeah. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to arm this microphone for a little bit. And as I do so, I'm not going to be able to communicate with you for a few seconds, but what I'm going to do, I got a little tambourine here as well. I'm going to create myself some nice little rhythm sections.
So just make sure you play in time.
No promises. Here we go. We will arm this, and I'll start this from the beginning, and let's get this going.
The record button. That button lights up red, and now we are recording. We can see the timeline is going. So I am actively recording this microphone. Yay! I hit the drum.
I even gave myself
All
a little spot.
right.
And if we wanted to hear those two channels back, I will. I'll finish talking before I do that. I will unarm my second channel, put it back on track, and play them back together.
The record button. That button lights up red, and now we are recording. We can see the timeline is going. So I am actively recording this microphone.
And there you have it. Two channels
Yay.
recorded on top of each other.
So one thing that's interesting to note and that we need to be aware of is that when the recording is in track mode for playback, it will not pass audio.
That is
I
important
actually-
to note. The reason for that is because when you engage the track mode on a channel, it is telling the mixer that you're no longer using the preamp as the signal source. Now
Right.
you're using with the content that's recorded on the hard drive in order as the source to play back. So that is why I had to complete my whatever I needed to communicate before I set that to track, because it will disengage my active microphone at that point.
Right. I was working at a church once where they were listening back to the pastor's message. And then the next time they went to record,
Oh no.
they weren't passing audio, and they called me and thought the mixer was broken. And that is the first place I went to.
Yep.
Just to
Gotta
check
take
to
'em
make
off
sure it
track.
wasn't in track mode. And it was. So we fixed it.
Easy fix.
Easy fix.
Let's take a look at the stereo recording for a second. So that is multi-track. I'm recording multiple channels individually. If I navigate over here to this bank labeled stereo in/2 track, my last two channels here are a 2-track record and playback channel. So you have basically a stereo recording bus built into the mixer at any time. And just like recording our channels individually, all we have to do to record this channel is arm it. So if I arm my stereo 2-track record, once I hit record, anything that passes through the main mix of the mixer will be recorded. You can kind of reset that, but in the default mode, what you're doing in the stereo mode is you're recording exactly what's happening in your main mix. It's as simple as that. So if you just want to get a stereo recording of your whole main mix, this is the way to do it. You can also do it for what I'm going to show you now, to do like a mix down. So if you have a multi-track session, if you have multiple tracks recorded and you want to just mix those down to a stereo recording, you can do so just like this. I'm going to go back over here. All you want to do is anything that you want to bounce down to your stereo bus, you just set all that to track. And again, because I'm going to still talk to you, I'm not going to set this one just yet. But once I've set all my channels to track, you just come back over to your 2-track, make sure that's armed. You're going to hit play and record. And what's going to happen is just like what happened when I did my overdub, all of the channels set to track are going to start to play back their content. And because the mixer is also recording and this channel is armed, now the stereo channel is going to be recording all of that into its stereo recording, into the stereo file. And it works like this. The record button, that button lights up red, and now we are recording. We can see the timeline is going. So I am actively recording this microphone. Yay. All right. So there you go. So now what we have is a nice little stereo recording that is fully encapsulated as a stereo file. Well, it's 2 files actually when you get into the drive. It's a left file and a right file. But it's your whole main mix. Now, unlike our individual channels, if we wanted to listen back to what we recorded on that, we're going to use this additional channel, the playback channel. So we have a 2-track record and a playback channel. Anything that is recorded into the 2-track recording bus is played back through the playback channel like this. I'm going to unarm this. I'm going to reset this, and now notice neither of my individual tracks that I recorded are set to track anymore. So all we're going to be hearing is the stereo recording through its own channel. If I hit play, the record button, that button lights up red, and now we are recording. We can see the timeline is going. So I am actively recording this microphone. Check something. One of the cool things about this, it is. I wonder why we can't hear it.
Oh, I heard it.
Did you hear it? Oh,
loud and clear.
I didn't hear it. There you go. Then I've got something going on in the routing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, there you go. So I have a nice stereo recording of my shoddy little performance there. So
now on this, I know on my 30, I can bounce the 2 tracks down to 1 MP3.
Yes,
is that an option on the 16 as well?
Absolutely an option, and that is a very, very cool option. So as I mentioned, natively, what happens when you use the stereo recording is you end up with 2 files. You end up with a left and a right wave file, and then you could then take into a DAW and merge them and get a single stereo file. Or right on the mixer here, if I go into my 2-track channel by pressing the name of it up there, you do have a few options here, including 2-track mix, MP3 export. If I hit this button, it's going to take my 2 stereo wave, my left and my right wave file, and it's going to automatically sum them and give me a single MP3 file of that whole mix. It's a pretty cool option. And if all I have to do is hit that button, it's going to be like, are you sure you want to do this? Sometimes it can take a few minutes. I'm going to say yes. My recording wasn't very long. And it is creating sweet demo.
I notice it does take a little bit. It's not like immediate.
It's not immediate.
Yeah.
You'll notice here, like my 15 second recording will take a bit for it to fully complete. So if you do have a longer recording, this process will take a little bit of time. Here we go. Successful. Okay, cool. So now what I have on my drive is what it's done is it's created an additional folder within my session underneath all my track folders labeled export. And if I go into there and click on that, it's going to show me my MP3 for that recording. Let's go ahead and take a look at that now. So now that I've got my recording, let's take a look at what that looks like. I'm going to take my drive. plug it right into my computer at this point, and I'm gonna share my screen with you guys now, and we're gonna take a look at this content on the drive. All right, so you should be seeing my screen now.
Not yet. It's still on the mixer.
Wonder if our admin needs to pop that up. Brad, do you know if you can pop my screen share up there? There we go.
There we go.
Cool. Thank you much. All right. Let's go ahead and open up my folder. There we go. Okay. So there's my Explorer folder. Down right over here. See, I've got TouchMix 30. That drive is labeled as such. If I click in there, here are all of my many recording sessions that are on this drive. I have far too many.
You've been busy, Jaden. Jason.
I have.
Jaden's my son's name. You got a lot on there.
I do. I actually need to go through this and audit it a bit and purge some of this stuff. But yeah, I've got a lot on here right now, which is why I didn't want to format it. But here we go. Here's our sweet demo recording. If I click in here, there we go. I've got exports and then all of my individual track folders. So I've got 1 through 22. This was a TouchMix 16 that I recorded this onto. So I've got my 1 through 16 mic channels, and I've got my additional stereo channels, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then 20 and 21 and 22 are going to be the stereo 2-track channels. So 21 is left and 22 is right for your stereo recording. If I click in there, I can see those. And 22, there we are.
Where did it drop that MP3? Is it at the end of the files?
So right here, I have this folder called exports. This folder, if I had not done the MP3 export process and gone into this folder would not be here. This wouldn't exist. This only gets created when you do the MP3 export process. And if I go in here, there we go. I've got it. I've got and it gives you a wave as well. It's one of the cool things that it doesn't initially clue you in on, but it does. So I've got a MP3 here and a wave. So it gives me a single stereo wave file as well as the MP3 file, and it's already labeled for me, which is really nice. So that's pretty cool. Otherwise, I can go into my individual track folders, and here's my djembe channel I recorded on channel 2, and my tambourine got recorded on channel 3. Notice how they are both labeled region 1, however. So if I wanted to kind of export these manually on my own, it's very simple. You just go into each folder and I can grab my files and I can drag them on my desktop and copy them there. Or, wherever you want to save them on your hard drive or your file system. The problem with that is since the hard drive doesn't label anything individually, every single file is labeled region 1. And if you had multiple recordings within each folder, it would just continue on region 1, region 2, region 3, so on. If you're kind of doing this, you're pulling these out onto your computer. When 2 files have the same name, your computer system doesn't like that. So you got to kind of manually rename everything as you go. And if you have more than 2 tracks like I do here, if you have a larger ensemble with multiple tracks that you've recorded, it can take a bit more time to kind of go in there manually and pull those things out and label them on your own. Which is why we have this. This is the TouchMix DAW utility, which is a free application you can download on our website. And we just actually launched a brand new version of it to support their recent Mac OS, Catalina and above. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I want to show you really, really quickly just how it works. This guy allows you to batch export your sessions from your TouchMix drive. So you can, instead of going and getting every file individually and saving it somewhere and then naming it all, this will do all of that work for you in one go. To start off with, I'm going to need to find my recording drive. So up here in this field, TouchMix drive, I click that, and I know that it was drive F. And there we go. And then the sessions field will kind of light up here. And if I click in there, it shows me all of my very many sessions that are on the drive that I can export files from. I'm going to pick my sweet demo. The next field name is how I want to label the folder that it is going to create on my computer that is going to save all these tracks into. So I'll just keep it consistent. I'll name this sweet demo as well. Dumo. I'm a drummer and not a typist. Now I'm going to select, I'll do that again. The next field here, destination, this is where I'm going to have this saved. Where on my computer do I want the utility to save this content? I'm just going to pick the desktop for now. That's fine. So I'm going to save it on my desktop. I've got it named. I know what session I'm going to be pulling from. The last option here, export format, it defaults to 32-bit integer. You do have the option of choosing 24-bit or float. And so this is if your intentions are to pull these files into a DAW. There are some DAWs that might not accept a 32-bit file. And therefore, you need to convert the files into 24-bit or maybe a floating bit. You can do that right at the export here if you need to do that. So I'll just go ahead and pick 24-bit because maybe I'm going to pull these into Logic Pro or something like that I know won't accept the 32-bit file. And then all I'm going to do is going to select the tracks that I'm going to export out of my session, and it gives you all those options here. And only the ones that have recorded files in them are going to illuminate as options. So I recorded into channel 2 and 3, and then I recorded into my 2-track, my stereo 2-track, so I can select that as well. I'm not going to select those because I already bounced that, but if I did want to import just my individual 2 tracks there, I would have them selected, and I hit export, and then I confirm that, and there you go. It saves them.
The nice thing is they take the name of the channel as it was labeled on the mixer.
So now if you see here, it gave me that folder that I labeled. This is what it just did. It put that right on my desktop for me. And if I open that, there we go. Instead of region 1 and another region 1, it gives me the 2-track region and the track 3 put in as they were labeled on my mixer.
Yeah.
So pretty cool feature, this guy. And if you are intending to use the drive for recording purposes, in any recording application, whether you're recording a live event or you're using it for more of like a recording studio application, this is really, really handy to have. And again, it's a free download. Go to QSC.com and you can pick this up. So now there is a bit that I want to talk about regarding the later Mac OSs. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing at this point. Here I am. Cool. So we recently released a brand new version of this because once Mac released the Catalina operating system, and now they just released the Big Sur. So the last 2 operating system releases had problems with the previous version of our DAW utility here. We finally got a new version up, which is now compatible with Catalina and Big Sur. So if you are running either of those operating systems and you would like this utility, go ahead and download the latest version. There is a bit of a process to getting it installed on your computer. I know Golden's gone through the process herself. I have not personally done it yet, but I am aware of the process. So we do have a guide, a very handy guide. When you do download it, there's a PDF document that will kind of walk you through and explain the various steps required to get this.
You'll want to follow those steps to a T.
Follow them to a T. And I actually may put together a quick video on how to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just be aware. It is a bit of a process. We're sorry. But once you get it up and running, it does work very smoothly. And it's a great tool to have for this application. So there you go. That's the end of my demo. That should hopefully goes to show you just how easy it is, though. I got in here. I set up a drive. I formatted it. I created a session. I recorded a few seconds of a couple different tracks. Bounced that down to a stereo file. Bounced that down to a single MP3 and WAV, and exported it on my computer all within a matter of minutes. So
yeah, a bunch of options for you guys.
Exactly. It's a powerful feature.
And one thing to note, you don't have to use the DAW utility.
No.
Many DAWs will allow you to drag the file straight into the DAW.
Directly into the channel.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't label it for you, and it takes a little time as it imports it. So it can be timely. And that's where the DAW utility helps it make it be a much faster process.
Yes, much faster.
That's awesome, Jason.
That was it. That was the knowledge for the day. We're a bit over time. We're about 40 minutes right now. But
before we go,
some sweet djembe. So yeah.
Yeah. You rocked it. Before we go really quick, I wanted to let you know about a couple of helpful Facebook groups that we have. We have the QSC Touch Mix group. If you own a Touch Mix or are interested in owning a Touch Mix, or even if you don't own one, but you find yourself mixing on one, this is an informative group about everything Touch Mix.
Mhm.
And the other Facebook group we have is hosted by QSC and myself. It's called Church Sound Training. And this group was actually created for church sound people and they're volunteers, but the audio concepts that are taught here are universal
Very much
and
so.
applicable across the board.
Yep. It's very helpful information that we're putting out on that. The Golden's putting out on that page there.
Yep.
So go check that out. Go check out the Facebook group. One last thing I kind of want to just kind of sneak in at the end here is as as our society and as the situation with the pandemic is kind of de-escalating, it might be possible for us in the very near future here to reinstate our live in-class TouchMix training program, the TouchMix Certified Operator Program. So I kind of want to just kind of take the temperature on that from you guys out there. If anybody out there is kind of local to Southern California and would be comfortable coming out to a live training, and we still maintain a social distancing element to it for the foreseeable future at this point. But yeah, it's something that we're heavily kicking around, trying to get that up and running again. I know before lockdown happened at the beginning of last year, it was a good class, and we had a lot of people coming out to it.
Yeah.
On a
Every
monthly
class
basis.
was fully attended.
So if that's something that people are interested in getting back up and running, I certainly would be interested in getting it going again and getting that help out to you guys in any way I can. So shoot us a message, comment. I'll post about it on the Facebook group as well. But yeah, just throwing that out there. That may be coming back pretty soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jason. It's been awesome. And I hope you guys have an awesome rest of the day.
Absolutely. All right.